This is a recording of this year's Virtual Residency Fair. We'd like to take the time to thank the programs that volunteered their time to present to this year's applicants. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap and Ultrasound Guidance. PM&R Recap is the leading resource for your physiatry board preparation, clinical preparation, audition rotations, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and oral board cases to help you become the best physiatrist that you can be. Head to pmrrecap.com to learn more. Ultrasound Guidance is the innovative new online ultrasound learning platform that gives you instant access to expert instruction. With rapid scans and complete scans of every joint and peripheral nerve, Ultrasound Guidance is the perfect way to jumpstart your MSK ultrasound learning. Visit ultrasoundguidance.com to learn more.
All right, and the floor is yours.
So Dr. Reganendan, who's our associate program
Good evening.
director, is going to be the big presenter for us for UT Health San Antonio. I'll be adding commentary in the chat, answering questions and such. So thanks for being here, everyone.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So there's going to be 3 of us today presenting. So I'm going to be doing some of the slides, and then I'm probably going to bore you. So I have 2 residents who can talk to what a day in the life of a resident looks like. So they'll go through some slides as well. Go ahead, Luke. Thanks. So the residency is really the core part of our department. So we have 32 residents in our program. We're categorical. So starting from PGY 1 year, you're really incorporating into that department. And from day one, we like to get residents involved as much as we can in our department. This is a class picture that we took this year in front of the library. So as far as our leadership for the program, Dr. Gutierrez just said hi. So if you have gone on social media, I'm sure you've seen her around, but she's a big name in the field. She's the interim program director, also the department chair, and I'm sure there's 10 other hats that she wears that we don't know about. So she's primarily brain injury, national and international leader in long COVID, and then her clinic is also interventional spasticity. My clinic primarily do interventional musculoskeletal and spine, and I dabble in some EMGs as well. And then our incoming program director, who we're really excited to have, coming from the East Coast, Dr. Benjamin Seidel, coming from a New York program. He's going to be our program director, who'll be based out of the VA, and his area of interest is brain injury and EMGs. So as far as program growth goes, so there's a lot of investment from the UT and the University Health System, which is just going to add to the resident experience. So there's been a $500 million project from the University Hospital System to open up a brand new women and children's hospital, which is going to happen this August. And we're going to be an integral part of it with the pediatric rehab units. We're going to have our own peds rehab unit, which would be pretty cool. And we have an attending who's going to be from our department who's going to be running that. And every other major site in our program is also growing, both in terms of footprint as well as faculty. So at UT Health specifically, the cancer rehab program led by Dr. Brian Fricke, who was actually trained in Houston at MD Anderson, he's leading the charge, and that's him with Joe Biden. As they opened up that center, I'll be part of a spine center that's starting up. It's a joint venture that we're starting with a couple surgeons, and we'll have our own floor dedicated to that. And we're recruiting for multiple subspecialties, and our faculty is going to almost double by this fall. And like I said earlier, our new PD is going to come into the VA, and then University Hospital Systems. We're working on starting up some fellowships, and the Women's and Children's Hospital, like we talked about, is a huge venture which is going to really enhance the resident experience.
All right, hi, I'm Luke. I'm one of the 3rd-year residents. So one of the great benefits of our program is the diversity of training locations. So you have a great mix of both publicly funded kind of county safety net hospital like university, veteran population at the Audie Murphy VA, which is one of only 5 polytrauma rehab centers in the country. So it's really exciting that we get to work there. And then Through UT Medicine, we have rotations at the Mark. Warm Springs is a large private rehab, so you get to see a little bit of what the real world looks like, and that's the Texas Center for Athletes as well. And then in the past couple of years, we started being able to rotate over at the Military Medical Center, which is one of the biggest active duty military hospitals in the country. And we actually rotate through their trauma unit as interns, which is an amazing experience to see kind of the acute side of the brain injury and cord injuries. And this is one thing that I want to kind of emphasize, is that the vast majority of our training sites are, like a strong arm could throw a rock and hit them from the roof of each of the other ones. So if you live kind of in the Med Center region, you're never more than 5 or 10 minutes away from the majority of them. The military hospital is about 20 minutes away from this picture. But even your outpatient stuff, all of it, for the most part, is here, including the private practice locations. So talking a little bit about our program structure, one of the biggest things, especially kind of as a fourth-year medical student looking at programming about what you're going to be doing next year, is the fact that it's a true categorical program. So our intern year is structured to be an actual introduction to PM&R. It's not just an attached internal medicine year. So you're doing things that are relevant to your future PM&R practice. So you have outpatient orthopedics. So by the time you're done with your intern year, you'll have typically more than 100 peripheral joint injections under your belt. You rotate through neurology, rheumatology, not included on this slide, palliative care. We have a month there too. And you do get a little bit of PM&R too in the consult service. The STICU is that rotation I was talking about over at the Military Medical Center. And there's also kind of a social side of this too, that as an intern, that you're already part of the rehab community. You are one of the residents. You're not just an intern, you're a PGY1 in the PM&R department, which for me was huge, just from a mental health perspective, that I'm not just an intern, I'm one of the PM&R residents. That was really exciting. And then you get to kind of build relationships with those consult services when you rotate through ortho, and later you're bothering them in the middle of the night for something. You might be texting your friend. So that's exciting. And we have a vertically integrated peer mentorship program as well, where you're going to be paired with a PGY3. And here's proof they exist. These are our current interns, and we're really happy they're here. So a little bit about the structure of the kind of meat and potatoes of the PM&R residency. Like most programs, it's more heavily inpatient earlier on. So PGY2, it's about 8 months of inpatient, 4 months of outpatient. And 3 of the 4 inpatient services that we rotate through, you're the primary team, and one of them we're a consultant. So we have our general rehab unit at University Hospital, and it's general rehab, but the flavor is more transplant patients, brain injury, spinal cord. The polytrauma unit at the VA has a focus on brain injuries, and specifically severe brain injuries. So there's an emerging consciousness program, which is really exciting there to work with, those very low functioning patients and try to wake them up, which, for a lot of people kind of ignites a love for TBI. And then we have a dedicated spinal cord injury unit at the VA, which that's such a rewarding population to work with, and we really like our rotation there. And then we have the consultant inpatient rehab service for pediatrics, and then Warm Springs, which I mentioned. Outside of that, there's really every single little corner of PM&R is really well represented here in terms of our outpatient rotations, and they're all becoming more robust. I think some highlights for us probably would be EMGs. Our EMG exposure here is nuts, would be the word. And then we get really good, increasingly good exposure to kind of the musculoskeletal ultrasound side of things, spearheaded by Dr. R. So talking a little bit about procedures, like I said, EMGs, the numbers are insane, and we're mentored by Dr. Dimitru, who literally wrote the book. And then, like I said, even as an intern, you're doing anatomy-guided peripheral joint injections, we get the ability to do and actually do some of the axial spine procedures as well. And then obviously with Dr. G here, the spasticity training is superb as well. And then your typical back and pump management as well. But we never have a problem hitting the procedure numbers, and some of them, like joint injections and EMGs, we just demolish them. So call, this is one of the amazing things about having 32 residents in your program, is that, so as an intern, you're not taking any call. The only nights you really do are about 1 week when you're on your ICU rotation. As a PGY2, your class is responsible for covering the weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays, those are 24-hour shifts. You typically come in and round during the morning, put out any fires. You can take home call during the day, and then you're in-house overnight. So you get a post-call day. So if you're on call Sunday, you have Monday post-call. PGY3, it gets even sweeter. You only have Friday evening shifts. So you're in-house overnight, and then you take some backup call as well, supporting the twos as they start. And then as a PGY4, you're only on backup call. We also have a night float system that's 4 nights a week. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. So Friday morning, you wake up and you don't have to come back in until Monday night. And it's typically 2 weeks second year, 2 to 4 weeks second year, and 0 to 2 weeks third year. And that's it. And for a lot of people, myself included, that's one of their favorite rotations because you're just doing pure medicine when you're on nights. And I will hand it back off to Dr. R here.
Thanks. So yeah, as far as didactics, we really have tried to revamp our didactic curriculum quite a bit. So you have the traditional lectures, which is a mix of both the resident and faculty. But we've also added quite a bit of other aspects to it. So we do workshops. So we do ultrasound workshops, EMG workshops, plasticity workshops. We let the residents get hands-on in a safe space and safe environment. So you're not necessarily working on patients, and you have time to get feedback from an attending and your seniors. We also have oral board prep, so we make it as close as possible to the actual AB-PM&R exam. So you have one attending with the resident. We record it, and then we'll give feedback at the end of it. And then a couple other things which are kind of unique and innovative to our program is we work with the medical school with prosected bodies, and the residents actually teach the med students the clinical component of anatomy, which I think is really cool. It takes you kind of to the next level, and you're not spending time dissecting, but the prosected bodies you're teaching medical students. So it's kind of a nice adjunct to our didactic sessions. Research is another component that it's pretty big in the residency. So other than completing the requirements for ACGME, we also encourage our residents to publish. And at the end of the year, we have a celebration day. Essentially, we have a research day where we have multiple departments, PT, OT, speech, get together and celebrate research from both what the residents are doing and what the faculty is doing. We have an outside speaker that comes every year, and every year the theme is slightly different. So this past year, just a text message. So this past year we had Dr. Zach McCormick, who is a interventional spine physician from University of Utah. He gave an amazing lecture that he actually lectures on internationally with. And then he met with the residents afterwards, and it was a great networking session as well. And at the end of the day, we usually have a workshop session. We did ultrasound this year. Next year, we're hoping to expand all of that stuff. So I think last year we had maybe 40, 50 people. This year was double, about 100. And we're just hoping to expand more and more to other departments at UT.
Is your stuff working, Corey?
Yeah, it's working. Hey, everyone. My name's Corey Hayes. I'm a second-year rehab resident over at UT San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio, born and raised. I'm a townie. I love Antonio. So we'll talk about a little bit community involvement. We have a lot of scheduled things that we do. Some of those are listed here. We do a lot of sports physicals with athletes in high schools in the surrounding area. We also do something called Project Men. You can see that down there. So we'll go and help spruce up, fix, repair durable medical equipment, things like rollators, wheelchairs, the sort, and just kind of help out the community in that way. We also, in September, are going to have perform physicals for the Special Olympics. It's actually a really awesome thing. We get a little bit of protected time. And it's just, if that's your thing, there's a lot of exposure for that. San Antonio has a really good park to just get involved with, those with special needs. Gordon's Wonderland, it's a really nice thing to do. But then there's tons of other opportunities that you can kind of seek out and look at. And, we've had medical students come up to us and say they want to start certain things or get involved with something. And, we can help them find those opportunities and kind of bring them to light. So that's always an option that we can do there. So a lot of community involvement. And the program as a whole is very resident friendly. I mean, the lines of communication are open through and through at all times of the day. Sometimes you might be concerned, oh, what are there boundaries? Or not really. We can talk to the program coordinator, we can talk to Dr. G, we can talk to whoever it might be, text them whenever, and just kind of get their help, get their advice, whatever it may be. Monthly resident council meeting with the program director, the chiefs meet regularly to discuss ideas and things that are coming up and what they have planned for us. There's also financial support for academic activities. We get a certain, I can't recall the amount of the stipend. We get a stipend to go to programs. I think it's the same for the first 2 years, and you get more the last 2 years to go to conferences and things like that. The parking is free and it's central, kind of like Dr. Lehman said earlier. Our rotation sites are not very far away, so you can walk from the main university hospital to the VA and over a sky bridge, very close proximity. There's a faculty mentorship program that's kind of standardized. You could obviously find and talk to whoever you want to, but there is people who have certain areas of expertise and fields. My faculty mentor is very good with research. Dr. R is one of the faculty mentors. He's very good with, MSK, interventional sports and spine. So you can kind of pick who you want to have to be your mentor and kind of go back. Let's see, we have a wellness committee, our wellness chief, and they're just kind of listen. They have their finger on the pulse of the program and kind of listen to us and are liaison to, I guess, the program coordinator and all those things. So they're very good with. We have a social events compared to other programs who I've talked to. They have a 1, maybe 2, at the university. At UT, they have 1, maybe 2 yearly things that they do with the program. We have a ton of different wellness activities, barbecues, get together, pool sessions, all those types of things pretty frequently, Christmas events, all that type of stuff. And then the intern and welcome retreat, that's another fun thing that we do. So all intern, everybody's welcome. Here it was more of like a minute to win it type of game thing, where we had a bunch of different challenges. Last year it was, floating down one of the rivers here in San Antonio. So a lot of team building exercises, a lot of things that, really help build relationships in the program. And I just think it's so resident friendly. So.
We just have some pictures here of the crew.
Yeah.
More pictures of the crew.
Oh yeah.
This was just a couple weekends ago. Dr. Sanchez, very, very proud of his 20-pound brisket that he smoked for us. But this is an example of what we were talking about, just having faculty who, are so excited to have the entire program over to their house, just in the interest of wellness. It's awesome. Corey, back to you.
It's taking a little bit to load on my screens, unfortunately.
I can go over it. So this is just talking about San Antonio. Sure. This is great because I love getting on this soapbox. So sorry, Corey. San Antonio is such a great, affordable place to live. Even with kind of the turmoil that's happened in the economy in the past couple of years, where cost of living has gone up, and that's kind of a very real concern on a resident salary here, it's still pretty doable. There's tons of parks around here. You're right next to the hill country. You're only a couple hours away from the beach. The winters, if you're not from around here, are really not a thing, except for 2021. And if you have a spouse who works, and that's, again, one of those real life considerations for a lot of people looking at residency, there's a really hot job market here in many different industries. So there's a decent chance they'll be able to find a job. It's a pretty safe city. All of us just love San Antonio, even if you're not from around here. And the people are so friendly. There's just such a vibrant culture. And then I think this is back to you, Dr. R.
Yeah, so what I really want to highlight in the slides, this is just for the past 7 years where our graduates have gone. So if you look at the list, it's pretty diverse. So we give you a very strong foundation in essentially all aspects of rehab, including some unique fields like cancer rehab, which a lot of programs don't have. And our residents go all over the place, and they go to all different types of fellowships, but we don't push fellowship, and you don't have to do a fellowship leaving our program. I feel like most residents leave with a strong foundation, and we had this past year, 3 went into private practice, 1 was inpatient, 2 was subacute, 1 did a mix of like VA, inpatient, outpatient, and we also had fellowships as well. Some of the more competitive fellowships like pain, sports, and then the newer NAS sports and spine, we've had residents who've successfully matched into those programs as well. So you're going to leave here pretty well versed, ready to handle the physiatry field and go essentially anywhere in the country.
All right, y'all. So I think we are about out of time. We have our contact information here. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I should have put Dr. G's Twitter on here, or Threads, or X, Twitter. We'll call it Twitter. But our emails are there, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions, and we'll answer any in the chat with the time that we have left.
Great. You have 2 minutes. Just want to give a heads up.
One of the questions is exposure to adaptive sports. I know there was, at least since I've been here, there was some coverage of a type of, well, there's Special Olympics physicals, and then there was another kind of a Paralympics that was happening locally that our residents were allowed to go and cover. So there is that. The other thing is, I don't know if anyone can talk a little bit about the diving, the adaptive diving program that Dr. Fredrickson, who's one of our residents, he was one of our residents, but he's one of the attendings that's actually retiring soon. And he himself has quadriplegia and really engages the residents a lot on adaptive sports. Oh, nice. Wheelchair rugby. I feel there's like no limit of opportunities to do things. And then residents pick and choose what they want to do per their interest and per their what's going on in their life at the time.
Sorry, I had my mic muted. I was talking about like some of the opportunities as well. So Morgan's Wonderland, I put the link on there for Morgan's Wonderland. Check it out. It's pretty unique. It's the only theme park dedicated to patients or people with adaptive needs, and it's pretty cool facility. We also have Texas Regional Sports that happens here. So you have kids starting from the age of I think 5 or 6 all the way up to Paralympic athletes who are competing. So you have just kind of everyone kind of gets together and competes, and it's just a great environment. And we've involved in providing some medical coverage there as well. And I think, I'm not sure if she's on, we have a medical student who's here who also is helping some of our outreach programs. Yeah, there she is, Abby Garcia. So we have a lot of opportunity if you're interested in adaptive sports.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. R and Dr. Verduzco Gutierrez, Dr. Lehman. And feel free, I think there's one more question here if you'd like to answer it in the chat, but we just want to thank you so much for your time here with PM&R Scholars, and thank you so much for everyone who's participating. Likewise, if you have any questions, feel free to email us. Check us out on social media, and otherwise, be safe.